Hi, I'm Caitlin Matheson. Thanks for tuning in today. Today we're going to have so much fun in the kitchen. I'm going to be using only household tools to see if I can create a semi-professional looking cake. Of course, it doesn't have to be perfect because I don't have my professional tools that I'm used to in the kitchen. But we're going to make do with what we have, and this is a really good lesson to just use what you have, and you don't need to be going out and spending large amounts of money on professional tools if you're just going to be baking at home. Using simple things that you already have in your kitchen will be perfect to make such an easy cake like this. So what you're going to need today is a cake. Of course, this can be anything of your choice. Today I just have a vanilla cake with some vanilla buttercream filling. I've got here a Ziploc bag. We're going to be using that instead of a piping bag. If you have piping bags available to you, of course go ahead and use that. But if not, these are a perfect alternative. We also have a barbecue flipper. This is going to be perfect for trying to smooth the sides of our cake. In times like this, you can make use of anything, and especially with a bit of boiling water, you can get quite a sharp edge using something that you already have at home. We're going to be using a standard butter knife. Of course, this is always practical in cake decorating. We're going to be making a chocolate ganache with some dark chocolate melts and some cream. I've also gone ahead and bought a squeeze bottle, which I can pour that ganache into to then cause a dripping formation on the top of the cake. So if you don't have a spare bottle lying around at home, just empty out a sauce bottle, give it a wash, use that. You can really use anything. A Ziploc bag works great too. We've got some Oreos here which we're going to use for decoration, and I've also got some in a Ziploc bag which I'm going to bang with the rolling pin just to crumble up into small pieces to go around the edge of the cake. This will clean up our bottom edge because of course our icing is not going to be 100% perfect, but with things like chopped up biscuits, lollies, chocolates, anything, you can really make this look really tidy and neat, just like a professional but at home. We've also got our beautiful buttercream. This is my signature buttercream recipe. It's nice and smooth and creamy so you can get that perfect finish. If you're not willing to make buttercream at home, of course you can use ready-made frosting that you can find in the local supermarket. So now I'm going to pour over my cream onto my chocolate. So for a dripping, I've got a 2-to-1 ratio. So I've got 300 grams of dark chocolate to 150 grams of cream. Today I'm just going to pop that in the microwave and heat that until it's nice and glossy and combined, stirring every 30 seconds. But of course you could put that on the stovetop as well, whatever you prefer. So this is going to take a few intervals in the microwave, but it's really important to give it a nice stir. As you can see, it's already starting to melt just after 30 seconds. So you want to make sure you keep aggravating it as you don't want to burn that chocolate. And then we're going to just pop it in for another 30 seconds and we should be nearly there. So I'm just going to go in with my spatula again and just give that a mix because we want to make sure we keep trying to emulsify that. And it looks like it's not going to come together. It looks like a weird hot chocolate, but it will. Just give it time and just keep stirring it and it will come together into a beautiful glossy drip. It's better to do this before you start buttercreaming your cake because it will be quite warm from the microwave, and the last thing you want to do is put some warm chocolate on your buttercream cake because you will melt it. You can see now it's coming together to a beautiful glossy chocolate ganache where we're going to drip that all over the cake. It's just going to be divine. And we're going to leave that in the bowl to cool just in case we want to melt that a little bit more before we put it in our squeeze bottle. So we can just set that off to the side until we're ready to use that one. So now I'm just going to crush some of my Oreos roughly with the rolling pin. We don't want these too smooth because I think it'll look really nice to have some chunks along the bottom. So we're just going to take a rolling pin, have them in our sturdy Ziploc bags. Just give it a shake. Because they do have the icing in them, they will stick a little. Especially now more than ever while we're in isolation, this is a really good activity if you need to let that anger out. Alrighty, so now I've got them crushed. I'm just going to set those aside with the other Oreos ready for decoration later. And we're going to get on to buttercreaming our cake. Okay, so now I'm just going to take the butter knife first. And we're just going to grab some of that buttercream and pop it on top of our little cake. And we just want to roughly smooth that out. Of course, if you have a turntable at home, it's obviously ideal to use one of those or even a Lazy Susan if you have one of those on your kitchen table. But I'm using just a bowl today, so you can use any household bowl that you have. just to try turn my cake around. If you don't have a cake board like I do, just put it on a plastic plate or any ceramic plate that you have. We are gonna add a drip on this, so I wouldn't stress too much about the top. And then just add some buttercream on the side of the cake. So now I'm just gonna add quite a thick layer because we will scrape that back with our barbecue scraper. So obviously just raid your cupboard and find whatever tool you think is gonna work the best. And we're just gonna keep adding. Don't waste the buttercream like that, whoopsies. So obviously it is a little bit hard with the skinny butter knife, so if you do have a fatter knife, that is ideal. So just see what you've got at home, but I'm just using what I've got in my kitchen just to show you that we can make something possible without spending all this extra money on tools that are just gonna sit in the back of the cupboard once a year for use. So I'm gonna take my barbecue scraper, flipper, whatever you call this, and then I'm gonna start just smoothing out the side of the cake and just wipe it off into your bowl. So of course you're never gonna get a perfect finish using a barbecue tool for a cake, but it is definitely better than nothing. I'm just gonna hold it against the cake and try smooth that out as best as I can. Don't worry too much at this stage of getting it perfect, because we will heat up our scraper once we get some of the buttercream off, and we'll just try to smooth that out even further. So it's definitely a challenge. As you can see, I'm not gonna get a perfect cake, but all we can do is try our best with what we've got. So I'm gonna actually take the scraper and pull in the sides of the top just to try clean that top up a little bit. Okay, so what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna grab my kettle and pour the kettle over the sink on top of my scraper just to clean off that buttercream, and it will actually heat it up. So then when I go around my cake, I can get a much smoother finish because it will be warm. So slightly melt that outer layer of buttercream, which will be a lot easier and a lot smoother for me. Now with my hot scraper, I'm just gonna slightly go around the edges, and you'll see that will just smooth out my buttercream. This will lose its heat quite quickly, so you do wanna have to repeat the process just to make sure you can get that as smooth as possible. So you can just see there how good the hot water is, because it just melts away that buttercream. And I wouldn't worry if any cake shows through, because we all know that the semi-naked trend is still in, so that's just going to add to the effect. So I went with the semi-naked finish, but you can obviously do whatever you'd like. You can also dye your buttercream to a certain color if you like. But because I'm going with the Oreos, I think that would be really cute. So just take off that top lip. Now I'm just gonna take our chunky Oreos that we crushed earlier, and I'm just gonna grab a handful of those and push them in around the base. So you can do this even or uneven. I think because they're rustic, I think it kind of looks better just to have it kind of uneven. Oreos are the perfect thing, or any crushed biscuit, just because if that bottom edge isn't completely smooth from not having the professional tools, you can easily cover it up and make it look nice. And then make sure you save your excess crumbs, because we'll use them for decoration at the end. So now I'm just gonna take a little bit of that chocolate ganache and add that into the middle of the cake. Only need a tiny bit here, just to fill the top, and then we're gonna add the drips on the outside. So just use a spoon just to help put that to the edge of the cake. And then we'll add the one in the bottle around the edges. So you just want to try and make these a little bit random if you can. So you can do this with white chocolate as well, milk chocolate or dark chocolate, and this just adds a really decadent feel to your cake. So just let that go down the sides of your cake, but just grab a spoon and just smooth out that top edge where you've added that drip in, just so no one will know. And then just go around in a circle to kind of make a textured ganache finish, so it just looks really delicious. And then we're going to add our crushed Oreos over the top. Let's add some vanilla buttercream into our Ziploc bag. You just want to open it up and make sure you're putting the icing into the corner of the bag. And then you're just going to close it up and push it down into a corner and cut a hole in it. So as you can see, we've got a makeshift piping bag, which is obviously the next best thing if you don't have one at home. So I'm just gonna go around and pipe some little blobs in a circle, and then we're gonna finish it off with some big Oreos. So I'm just gonna add some large Oreos going round. Because it's just been made, the ganache is still soft enough for that to glue onto the cake without any extra icing or anything, which is perfect. So when this is set up, they'll be stuck right in place, which will be nice and easy for us to transport if you are taking it to anyone's birthday. Okay, I personally love this style with the circular going around the edge. But to finish it off, we just need some cookie crumble on those white dollets, because that will really make it look extra delicious. So I'm just gonna reuse those Oreo crumbs from earlier. And we're just gonna sprinkle those on top, just to make it not look so white. Perfect. You can obviously change this up and add any special lollies that you love or chocolates, but my personal favorite is Oreo, and I feel like it just does this design wonders. So thanks so much for joining me today. I actually had a blast trying to recreate a cake of mine with no professional tools. It was actually a lot harder than I thought, but it is quite the challenge, and I think you guys will really enjoy it, because for everyone staying at home, it really isn't practical to keep accumulating things you don't need. So I hope you can make this for someone special without having to research and do all these extra things. And I'm sure the person that you give it to will absolutely love it. We're gonna keep this out of the fridge now because we're gonna dive into it because it looks too good to leave in the fridge. But you can also make this a day in advance and keep it in the fridge until it's needed. Well, thanks so much for joining me, and I can't wait to keep bringing you more fun videos of baking, and I hope these ideas inspire you to get creative in the kitchen too. Thanks so much, and keep your eye out for new videos next week.